Your TAIVE Sauna cabin will come in a shipping crate, just like this. All the screw holes that you need to remove are marked. First things first is to remove the top. And there's the sauna manual in there. It's important to read through the whole manual. It's step by step how to install. Yeah, all the information is there. Do you want to maybe... There's a little step here, if needed, just get a block and a hammer until this is flush. Make sure that the back corner is flush, even all the way, and that ensures that the base frame is the same length as the wall panel. And once it is flush, it should screw together. It's a tip to put one of the longer screws in the frame here, and that allows you to lift the frame. If you use the screw, make sure you remove it before installing any further. Once all of the walls are installed, it's important to measure diagonal points to ensure that the whole sauna cabin is square. And if not, move the bottom edge until the measurements are exactly the same. And to double check the width. Perfect. To make sure the ceiling is in position, again, check that everything is flush at the front edge. Use your block and hammer and just tap it until it's flush. It's important not to install this last screw yet. If you install this one now, it will be difficult to do the next couple of steps. All parts are numbered, so match exterior 1 with exterior 1. And again, we have this slotted system that allows it to all just slide into place. Tap it with a block And these pieces hold the whole cabin straight. So with this piece, there's a groove cut into it. That groove slides over this top 4mm plywood. And now, once this front piece is installed, you're now able to screw the ceiling, the last screw on the ceiling. And now the cabin's now installed, ready for the benches to be put in. Around 10 minutes and you have your own sauna cabin put up. Okay, so this cable that you've got here, the fiber, there's a larger end and a smaller end. The smaller end is to be fed through from the inside into the pipe, pre-installed. And this one is for your thermometer. Install one nut, insert the fiber into the cup. Once the fiber is installed into the cup, be careful not to bend this fiber too tight, too much, but if you install, make sure that the light is coming from the bottom side. It shines through the thermometer better. When installing these black screws, it's best to put a bit of plastic or something in between the head and the screw. It just stops the screw from getting scratched. Now we can install the fiber for the sauna heater above the sauna heater. Again, we have one bigger end and one smaller end. The smaller end can be fed through to the ceiling. And then we just push the end in. Now we move on to installing the air outlet. And this part simply screws on. So open it up, pull it down to close it off, push it up. We recommend when heating up the sauna and using it, you close the vent, and then when you finish the sauna, open it up, and it allows all the air, the humidity to escape. So this is above the heater to allow the fresh air to come in and then circulate with the heat. So simply unscrew the cover, push it in. Be careful not to tighten these screws too tight. This is only a plastic cover, and if you tighten too much, it might break. And to help circulate the air, when you open it, there's a manual inside on how to operate it. This is the instructions on how to install and connect to the app. To install the fan, simply pull off the top cover. There's a pin on this chip, and that's what you need to install to connect it to the app. The slot that's here at the top, push your screwdriver in and pull the top cover off. Make sure that this grey seal is connected in the right spot. This is the power supply box that you'll get in the crate. This red cable is for the fan. Simply unwind, and there's a hole with a pipe going down to the right spot. So if we just feed this down, the cable will now come through to the right spot. There's a small hole here that you need to feed it through. Feed the cable through the back grommet. Brown is the line and blue is the neutral. Now the frame, the black frame shows where the top is. Slide this into position. Again, don't over tighten these screws as the frames are only plastic. Next up is to install the lights for behind the backrest. Each hole needs 2 cables put through. You can feed just both of them up. All of the heights for the light positions are all in the manual here. So just check before they are installed. Simply make a mark where the center is, and the cable is the center of the light fixture. So where that mark is where the center of the cable is. One side of the sauna linears are installed. You can come to the other side and install those ones as well. Now it's time to install the sauna linear rod. Slide the center bracket onto the rod first. Insert the rod into the fixed end. That allows you to fit the rod into the other end, and line this up at the same height as you have the other one installed at. And then install the center bracket so that it's completely straight and horizontal. Then the center bracket. Just put these ones in there before installing the frame. It's a little bit easier to put the lights in while the frame's not here. The side with the groove goes towards the back, and the groove is on the top side. And then once installed, attach the frame to the brackets. Install the support leg. Push this and adjust the legs so that it's tight. And now when we install the lower bench sits on this block and supports it as well. Now this is the lower frame. Again, we have the groove on the back side, the top back side, and then no groove on the front side. This one, you just need to adjust the leg. So there's about a 10mm gap at the bottom. And then we can screw it in from the back. Once the frames are in place, we can install the sauna linears to the front of the upper frame. So these ones you need to install to the center of the frame. Again, install one block, then install the center bracket onto the rod. Then once both ends of the sauna linear are installed, it's time to install the middle bracket. Now once the frame and lights are installed, we can put the cover panel on between the upper level and lower level. We have these metal brackets from the front, and then install the brackets onto the back. When installing the cover panel, there should be about a 5mm gap. In from the front, about a 5mm gap in the middle, and a 5mm gap to the wall. Now the sitting elements, if you notice on the underside, we have metal bracket that goes to the back, and that slots into the groove that runs along the top edge. And these wooden blocks sit along the front edge of the frame. So put the element on, push it right against the back wall, and then lower the front and pull it forward, and that locks in between the metal brackets and the wooden blocks on the underside, so then there's no movement. Should be a 5mm gap to the walls and the elements, and a 10mm gap along the back for airflow. And now these are the brackets for the backrest. The bottom of the backrest is 150mm up from the top of the sitting element. One bracket about minimum 50mm from the wall, and same from the center of the element. If you make a mark, 150mm up on both sides of the elements. Ensure the brackets are vertical. Laser level, it's easier, and we recommend install the first one and then line up the laser level with the top edge or the bottom edge, whichever you prefer, and then it's easier to then put the other brackets in on the same level. When installing these backrest brackets, there is a cutout on the top and no cutout on the bottom. So this is to allow for us to hold the backrest on. As you can see, there's a wooden strip glued onto the top edge of the backrest. So we can put the top of the backrest on the brackets and then sit it down, and that's not going anywhere. Again, we have about a 5mm gap on all of the joints. When your electrician installs the sauna heater, there's 2 cables running to the ceiling. That's to power your sauna, and the hole here runs up, and you install the temperature sensor at the top here. All cables running through the walls all have a pipe, so you just thread it through and it comes out to the roof. Now it's time to install the divan sections. So you'll notice one frame doesn't have the divide, the middle structure, and the other side, the other frame, it has the center part on both ends. The part that's missing is because the sauna heater will sit here. So this frame doesn't need the center support because we've got these frame brackets here. Again, the groove goes to the top and the back. And then we measure 10mm gap between the frame. Same on the back. And also securing it to the main frame, we have a 10mm gap. Ensure that the front element is vertical, and we can screw off the bottom to the wall. And again at the main frame, 10mm gap. Ensure the front edge is vertical. And attach to the wall. Panels on the lower side. So there'll be two cover panels the same length. They go on the sides, and the longer one goes on the back. Again, from the front. When installing the side elements, the side cover panels, bring it so then it's up against the front panel. These corner brackets, they're to hold the corner of these cover panels together, so then they remain lined up. So simply and screw the bracket in. When installing the lower level, one side of the sitting element is cut out, and that's to allow for the element to clear this frame. We have the metal brackets installed again, so we slide this back, pull it forward, then we can lower the element in. Again, 5mm gap to the wall. Same to the other side. Push it back, pull it forward, 5mm gap, 5mm gap. And now for the divan elements, and these ones, this simply just slides straight in. There's no need, we don't have the metal brackets on these ones, as it's not going to be stood on and flipped up. So push that in, It should line up perfectly with the front element of the lower level and the 45-degree of the divan. When you install the divan elements, it's important to look how this front edge lines up. As you can see, there's a small gap on the back edge. If you remove the top element, you can adjust that length by moving this bracket back. And now we have an even gap all the way. The frame for the step needs a small amount of assembly. The screws are attached. Simply remove that. Push the long pieces into the ends. These longer gold bolts are for the frame. Simply screw them in. Once that's installed together, we can put the frame to the element. Simply slide it in, and now, while pushing down on the frame to make sure it's against the element, just screw the element onto the frame. It's now time to install the glass wall. Depending on the sauna model, depends on the exact installation of the glass. So if you check the install instructions, then you'll be able to see the exact way to install your wall. We install the lower brackets. This wooden part will be attached to your floor, and the U profile here is for the glass to slide into. Vertical pieces will be marked left and right, so this one's for the left, and we install this on the inside of our front cover panel. Same thing for the right side. It's marked with an R. And now the top piece. Again, with this model, it's all on the inside of the cover panel. When installing the glass, the top needs to go in and up, and then slid along the channels, up and bottom, until you hit the wall. The glass panel with these cutouts is where the hinge is going to be. So it's up to you to decide on this model what way you want the door to hinge, but now's the time to decide, because before we install it. Another thing, install a piece of wood or some carpet or something down on the floor. It helps to protect the glass so it doesn't break. Now the top edge is in. We can just focus now on the bottom. And now the last bit. When installing the glass, we recommend to put some silicone in the U channel, top and bottom, and some in the sides. So once the glass is installed, it's secured in there. Just like that. So these are the hinges for the door. One side has the screws, the other side is clean. So what you need to do is install the clean look on the outside, and the screws will be hidden on the inside. First, just undo the screws, And there's some rubber protective pieces. There's 4 in each one. And this plastic piece goes on the inside here to protect the glass. So there's 2 different thicknesses of rubber protection depending on how thick the glass is. This is 9 millimeters, so we'll need to use the thicker rubber strips. If you notice on the back side, there's these 2 limit screws. So that side is attached to the door and this side is attached to the glass wall. So these limit screws, once the door is on, if you loosen those, line the door up flush with so that the door is in line with the glass wall, tighten these screws, that just stops the door back in the right spot. Now that the electrician has come and turned the power on, it's possible to change the angle of light behind the backrest. As simple as spinning the sauna linear rod. You can either have it as a dim light or you can have a bit brighter light. The top and the bottom can match. And it's the same system as under the seat. Now you have your TAIVE Sauna cabin installed. It's time now to put the heater on and grab a beer and some friends and enjoy the sauna.